Welcome everyone. I can still see people are trying to join. That's absolutely fine. We will be starting in just a moment. So settle down yourself. Also, those who are seeing me on YouTube right now live, I want to ask you to do one thing. Type your name and where you're joining from in the chat. I would love to know who we have today so that I can interact with you. Let's give the others some time to join and then we'll start. Hi there. I hope you can see me and hear me clearly. We were just waiting for some people who are having some technical problems to join. By the way, if you don't mind, could you please tell me your name? Yeah, Roro, right? Hi, Roro. Riha. Sorry, your voice was breaking. Could you please repeat? Oh, okay. What can I call you? Roro Rehab. Okay, okay. Cool, cool. Roro, just let's give the others some time to join. Yeah, there's another person here. May I know your name, please? I think it's... Even if you want to type in the chat box, that's fine. Don't worry. Zokir John, Z? Don't worry, feel free to just type your name on the chat, no problem. Okay, so I hope the others might be joining soon and our viewers on YouTube too. Let's start the session for today. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ranjit Babu. I work in the United Kingdom in Liverpool. I'm a native of India though. So we are OWLi International, a language school specifically focused on English language development. So this workshop today is basically based on IELTS. I'm an IELTS coach and a curriculum specialist at OWLi International. I want to begin with something important. Everything you're going to see in the next 30 to 40 minutes, every technique, every strategy, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Not just tell you, but literally show you. Now, and actually, you can use the chat to communicate. If you have any questions in between, you can just raise your hand. That's fine. That's completely fine. And at the same time, if you feel like you are trying to ask a question, don't feel like you're interrupting me in between. Feel free to just raise your hand and ask your question. If you want to chat, no problem. We have our faculties here as well, so they'll respond to your questions. Now, let's get to our business for today. So we are going to talk about 4 techniques today. Okay? We're just going to talk about 4 techniques. And what are the benefits of these 4 techniques? That's what we are going to look in first. So the first slide is, let's get to the agenda. What are we going to look in the next 40 minutes? I'm going to teach you 4 techniques and I'm calling them the OWLi techniques because we developed and refined them specifically for students who want to move from band 5.5 or 6 to band 7 or even higher. So each technique comes with a live demonstration. In this session today, we're going to try that, okay? So we start with the 3 biggest myths that are costing students marks right now. Then we'll go skill by skill, writing, speaking, reading, listening. And when you think of the session today, after the writing, speaking, reading, listening, I'll give you a 30-day plan that actually works. Not generic advice, a real system. And at the very end, 2 minutes or maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we can go ahead with the question and answer, where you can ask me anything regarding IELTS. So 40 minutes, 4 techniques, guys. Let's get to the next slide. Okay, so I want to start with something I hear from students every single week. You will see it on the slide. Read it with me. I studied for months. I know English, but I keep getting band 5.5. Do you have this problem? Anybody in here? Do you face this problem? Like Z or Roro, do you have such a problem? No? Cool, if you don't have such a problem, that's perfect. But I get a lot of students who have this problem. IELTS is not purely a test of how well you know English. It is a test of how well you know the IELTS game. And the game has specific rules, specific moves, specific patterns that examiners look for. So once you know those patterns, really know them, not just heard about them, you score moves. and it moves fast. Today I'm going to give you those 4 moves, and the first thing I need you to destroy completely are the 3 myths that are getting in our way. And let's go to myth 1. Have a look at the screen. The myth number 1, I need perfect grammar to get band 7. Almost every student I have worked with believes this, and it's completely wrong. Completely wrong. Band 7 in grammar, band 7 in IELTS explicitly allows errors. You can have errors. You can have grammar errors. Band 7 allows it in IELTS. What it requires is range. The ability to mix complex sentences with simple sentences, use conditionals, use passive voice, use relative clause. Not perfectly, guys, but with purpose. So a student who writes 50 correct simple sentences will score less than a student who attempts and mostly succeeds with complex sentences. So range beats perfection. That's the first myth. Keep that in your mind. Myth number 2, big vocabulary equals a high lexical resource score. I have marked essays where students use words like humongous, or rather multitudinous, and scored lower than students who used significant and considerable. Why? Because IELTS examiners rewards precision, not just like big words. They rewards precision and collocation, not rare words. So examiners want to see that you know how words work together, not just that you found them in a dictionary and you're using it for the exam. No. Significant increase is better than humongous escalation. Okay, keep that to your mind. Now let's come to the third myth. Myth number 3, the examiner is marking the quality of my ideas. This happens mostly in writing and speaking, you know. This is a myth that hurts the most. Why? Because students spend half their preparation time thinking about what to say instead of how to say it. The examiners don't care like if your argument is brilliant or ordinary. They are asking you, is it structured? Is it expressed clearly? Is the language accurate and varied? Ideas are just a vehicle. Language is a grade. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it is important. Now, so if you have been studying hard, but not seeing results, now you know why. So today we fix that, starting with the skills that carries the most weight for most students. Okay, let's go with that myth. Now, what about writing? Is it really difficult for you? For me, like when I was practicing English, it was really difficult. And if you ask me what was the problem with writing, I had problems in building the body paragraph. That was the most difficult part for me, you know? And that's the reason why today I developed a technique for body paragraph. As you can see on the screen, writing task 2. Before I go to the technique, let me tell about writing task 2. Writing task 2 is worth 67% of your total writing score. Okay, 67%. Most students who get a band 5 or 5.5 have perfectly acceptable ideas. Their structure is what that fails. Examiner spend about 3 minutes reading task 2 response. Believe me guys, just 3 minutes. In that time, they are looking for specific signals that tell them, okay, this is a band 7 student. And that's why I developed the technique called the peel-lock method. And it's built around those signals. Let me walk you through it. The first P stands for point. Your opening sentence in any body paragraph is a clear, confident statement of your argument. One sentence, no hedging, no waffling, nothing. State your position straight and direct. The E stands for explain. So don't just make a point. You have to justify your point. Why is that sentence true according to some reasons? So give the reasoning that links your point to the real world. This is where most students skip straight to the example and lose their coherence mark. After the point of explain or explanation, go to the second E, which is example. Now bring in your evidence. It does not need to be real statistic. It can be a hypothetical example, a general observation, a trend. What matters is that it is specific, not some people, but you could use research suggests or in countries such as. See, these phrases carries the weight. And the L stands for link. One sentence that pulls your example back to your original point. This closes the loop and tells the examiner you haven't deviated from the main point. And then you go with a lock. And I literally mean it, it's a lock. This is what makes this technique special. The lock is a closing sentence that uses a very high level of connector to seal the paragraph. Phrases like, it is therefore evident that, or you could say, this clearly demonstrates that, or consequently it can be argued that. These phrases alone signal academic competence to an examiner. So use them every single paragraph. I hope you got a rough idea about that now. Okay, there is a workshop, so we are going to try that right now, right here. Okay? So look at the band 5 writing, or the band 5 paragraph on the left. I'm going to read it. Social media is bad. Many young people use it too much. This is a big problem. We should limit it. Now, is that wrong? Do you feel like it's wrong? What do you think? Is there any mistake in it? I don't see anything wrong in it. Grammatically, no, there is nothing wrong in it. Is it English? Yes. Well, does it get a band 7? Absolutely not. There's no reasoning, no example. The vocabulary is basic. There are no cohesive devices. The examiner reads this and sees a student who cannot develop an argument in English. So, now look at the band 7 paragraph. You can see the color labels, the peel lock. The vocabulary is precise. I'm not reading it out, just have a go through it. But let me explain that for you. Excessive engagement, philosophical well-being, digital platforms. See the words. The structure is clear. There is a specific example with data. And the paragraph closes with, it is therefore evident that. See the phrase which I mentioned before? The lock. Same topic, completely different band score. The difference is not intelligence, the difference is structure. And structure can be learned in one afternoon. Yeah, you learn the structure now, right? But is that enough? No. Which is why in our hourly lessons, we don't just teach this concept. We have students write paragraphs, give them line by line feedback until the structure becomes automatic. Now, what if the structure doesn't work? You're gonna shut down this and you're gonna try the structure by yourself and you feel like it's not working. Let's try it right now. We can try that. If it doesn't work, we should be working on it, right? So let's try it. Okay. Now I'm gonna share my screen with another file. Let me bring up that file for you so it's easy for you to understand. Give me 1 second. Okay, there you go. Now you have your question right in front of you, right? Many young people spend too much time on social media. Okay, that's the question. Discuss both views and give your opinion. That's a typical discussion essay which is asked for writing task 2. And I'm going to write the agree body paragraph. Okay, I'm going to agree with it and I'm going to build up the agree body paragraph using the peel structure, the peel log structure. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna reveal each peel log for you, and you tell me if that is convincing for you. Okay, let's see. The first sentence, the P, the point. There you go. Okay. Excessive engagement with social media platforms has been shown to have a detrimental impact on the psychological well-being of people. Okay, now in this sentence, I'm using some good words, not like humongous or escalating vocabulary, but I'm using vocabulary which are good. I'm being specific, okay? But at the same time, excessive engagement is better than too much time. Detrimental impact on psychological well-being is better than bad for mental health. See, I've chosen carefully the vocabulary here. We train you for that, so don't worry about it. Now let's go with the E, which is explain. Let's have a look how we have gone up with E. There you go. Oh yeah. So here, the explanation sentence goes like this. This is largely because the design of these platforms is deliberately engineered to maximize screen time, exposing users to a constant stream of curated content that fosters comparison and anxiety. The statement looks a bit complicated, I know. The statement has good vocabulary, which are advanced words, but apart from the vocabulary part, I'm explaining why it's true. Why my point, which I mentioned in P, is true. Not just saying it, right? I'm explaining why. And now I have to go with the example. And let's have a look at the example sentence. There you go. That's the example sentence. Now, research by American Philosophical Association, for instance, found that teenagers who spend more than 3 hours daily on social media are significantly more likely to report symptoms of depression and anxiety. So I was just giving an example with APA, American Psychological Association. You can also come up with an example. It can be hypothetical, it's fine, but it has to be specific. See, my example is sounding credible, not incredible, it's sounding credible. The number makes it land. See, I mentioned 3 hours daily. Okay? And now going with the link. This illustrates the direct connection between, This illustrates the direct connection between prolonged digital use and deteriorating mental health outcomes among adolescents. I've used words like prolonged, deteriorating, adolescents, just to impress my examiner. So we teach you vocabulary like that, so don't worry. Now this is linking back, the L. And finally, the lock. And there you go, that's the lock. It is therefore evident that regulating the time young people spend on these platforms is not merely advisable, but a matter of urgent social necessity. And that's it. The paragraph is done. Maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, and that's done. And this is the peel lock method. If you got an idea about that, just go ahead and try this. Just try this. In the chat, or if you want to say it, you can say it. Try and write your point sentence only for the view that social media can be positive for young people. You have 20 to 40 seconds to do that. Just try it. Maybe you're going to make mistakes, that's fine. I'll correct your mistakes, that's perfectly fine. But try writing the point sentence, just the P, the first P, for the topic. Okay, social media can be positive for young people. Just try. I'll give you 20 to 30 to 40 seconds. Go ahead. Yes, I saw the chat. If you find explaining difficult, you need to know the way of explaining from the question. You can take points from the question and then go ahead with the explanation. For example, when you are talking about, suppose the same question. Well, let's deal with the same question. Yeah, let's go with that. Social media is good. We know that, right? We know that social media is good. So maybe I'm thinking, okay, how should I paraphrase this? There are 2 ways in which I can paraphrase this. You can do it in the way you write Arabic. You write Arabic from the left to the right, right? Start from the end of the question. Start from the very end of the question. For example, in this PowerPoint that you're seeing, I'll bring up my question here. See? Many young people spend too much time on the social media. Start from social media, too much time, and then go back to young people. For example, you could write, in social media, these days, more time is spent by the young people. See? That's it. There you go. So you use the points from the question to get back to the explanation point. And maybe like you wrote the first point and now you're trying to explain your point in the paragraph, in the body paragraph. What do? If you don't get the explanation point, straight away think of a situation. Create a situation. In real life, how will you connect that point in real life? Think of your own life and connect it with your own life. The examiners are not looking for like precise research data. They don't want precise research data. They are trying to know how you can connect this language to your brain and explain that in proper English. So just next time when you're trying, just try to connect it with a real life situation in your life. How would you deal with social media? That's it. Explain it. Okay? Now, okay, so if you have written, I don't know like how many of you, I cannot see the chat properly, but I have people there who can see the chat properly for you, like professionals there, teachers. So they'll respond to your chat. Moving on to the very next, which is an interesting session, which is speaking. Okay, let me put up the other PowerPoint screen for you. Just give me a sec. There you go. The cue card, part 2, always a problem for my students. So there is a technique for that. Okay, let's bring up that technique for you. There you go. That's the technique, guys. It's called the OWLi technique, called echo and elevate. Echo and elevate. And this one is my favorite to teach because the change it produces is immediate and visible. Here's a problem speaking part 2 usually brings, and everybody try to hold on to this problem, you know. You receive a cue card with a topic and 4 bulletin points. You have 60 seconds to prepare, and then you must speak uninterrupted, fluently for 2 full minutes. For most learners, the panic kicks in at about like 45 seconds. You speak for 45 seconds, and when you run out of points to say, you go blank. The speaking breaks down. The examiner marks you down for fluency. So echo and elevate solves this with 3 steps. So listen to these 3 steps. Step 1 is echo. Take any keyword from the cue card and use it in your very first sentence. So you should have written down the word from the cue card on your paper during the 1 minute of preparation. So take that word and use it in your very first sentence. This tells the examiner immediately that you're not breaking away from the topic, and it buys you a second to gather your thoughts. Step 2 is elevate. In your next sentence, swap that word for a more precise collocation. This is where you use your lexical resource. So the words we teach you, how you can use it in the elevate. This is the position where we can use it. You're not memorizing list of vocabulary. You're naturally upgrading the language you're already using. And the third step is expand. So step 1 is echo. You take the word from the cue card. And step 2 is elevate. You use a more precise collocation instead of the same word. But it's literally you're saying something similar, but you're elevating it. And the third step is expand. And this is where you put yourself in the speaking. Add a personal memory, something that you remember about the situation and you. Give a reason, a feeling, or a comparison. This is your fluency fuel. And once you expand it, you echo again. Echo a new word and never run dry. This becomes like a loop. Look at the examples on the right hand side. You say happy, you elevate it to genuinely fulfilled or deeply contented. You say important, you elevate to absolutely pivotal or considerable significance. The examiner who hears you feels like, oh, it's so natural, precise language, not a memorized list. Did you get that? Now, how about the demo for this? We're going to do the demo for this, okay? I'm going to show you a cue card. There you go. That's your cue card. Now, I'm gonna take 60 seconds to prepare on this. Oh, don't worry, I've already prepared this, so I'm not gonna take 60 seconds. You are gonna take 60 seconds to prepare on this cue card. Okay? The usual way. Do the usual way. I don't want you to use the echo elevate method, but do the usual way and see the difference. So I'm gonna switch on the timer for you, and let me put on the timer for you. Okay, so your time of 60 seconds starts now. There you go. Go ahead. That completes your 60 seconds. Now we are gonna look into the talk. Okay, so I don't want you to tell the whole thing in 2 minutes now, because we have more techniques to look into. So I want to keep that preparation. I want you to keep that preparation for yourself. You can try it after the session, but how can we use the echo elevate method to develop what you have written? You can try it with me, okay? So I have developed something in the 1 minute time, and I'm gonna now speak for 2 minutes continuously using the echo elevate response method. Okay, I'm gonna set the timer again. You can also try the timer so that I'm not lying, okay? I'm gonna speak for 2 minutes and the time starts now. I'm going to talk about a place I genuinely enjoy visiting. And that place is the old quarter of Muscat in Oman. I visit Muscat, and what I find truly remarkable about Muscat is its extraordinary blend of the traditional and the contemporary. I am a person who personally loves the traditional and contemporary mix. The place I'm describing is a genuinely picturesque part of the city, full of what I would call deeply historic character. I go there primarily for the architecture. Again, architecture is my favorite field. The architecture there is genuinely stunning, characterized by intricate geometric patterns that reflect centuries of Islamic craftsmanship. Geometric patterns is another interesting factor that captures aesthetic beauty. That's what I believe. What I do there? Well, I tend to walk around. Simply hours, I just walk around, observing the details that most visitors usually rush past. But more than anything, what makes this place truly special to me is a sense of stillness it creates. A stillness that is almost impossible to find in the rapidly urbanizing Gulf. Everybody knows that Gulf is increasing in its potential these days, so what they do is urbanizing, but without causing problems for the traditional architecture. It connects me to a history that feels increasingly significant in a world that is moving so fast. It is therefore a place I return to every time I'm in Oman, a place of considerable personal meaning. That completes the timer, and it's like 2 minutes 5 seconds. I could have extended it if I want to. Believe me guys, if the examiner is looking at you straight and if he's silent, that means the timer is not yet up. You have to speak more. And then you can just go ahead with concluding sentences. Don't start anything new, okay? Now this is how you use it. So what do we do here? See, in the echo elevate moments, like I said, visit. And then I said remarkable. I said picturesque. Then I elevated it to deeply historic character. I said architecture. And I elevated it to intricate geometric patterns. See, the technique was working the whole time for me, and I never went blank. By the way, you need to have the resources, lexical resources for this, which we train you for that. So don't feel like, okay, I can't do this because I don't have enough words. We train you for that. So it's not just the technique. We train you to how to use the technique. We do that multiple times, and for the exam it becomes automatic for you. Okay? Okay, perfect. So I want you to try this technique at home after the session, okay? Going to reading. When you move on to reading part, usually people find difficulty in time management. In reading 60 minutes, and you have 40 questions completely. 3 passages to get progressively harder. The first passage is easy, the second one is a bit difficult, the third one is the toughest, I would say. So the skill students think they don't need to prepare for is reading, but actually you need to prepare for it. On the test day, this could be a bit complicated for you. So how do we go with it? What's the technique? Nothing. It's called the bracket scan method. Maybe some of you might have tried this, I don't know, but it's specifically in a method. Let's see how it works, the bracket scan method. So the number one reason why I suggest this technique is because it eliminates the problems completely of time management. What do? Let's get straight to the point. Step 1, read the questions first. Read the first question, not the passage. Before even you look at the passage, read the question. Find your target before you start searching for it. It sounds obvious, but under pressure, most students can't do this. They start reading with a passage, but that's bad. Step 2, identify your bracket words, the keywords, the main important words, Look at the question and circle, or rather highlight, 2 or 3 distinct or the most distinct words. Typically nouns, numbers, or even like proper nouns, verbs, sometimes adjectives. But avoid using small words like the, and. They are function words. They are not that important. So these bracket words are your search targets. Now step 3, take these bracket words, go to the first sentence of each paragraph. So where you actually look for is go to the first sentence of the first paragraph, look whether the word is there, go to the last sentence of the first paragraph, look whether the word is there. Okay, so you are just scanning the first sentence and the last sentence of each paragraph, not the whole passage. Okay, majority of the questions in IELTS gives you these words in the first or the last sentences, especially the first and the second passages. Okay, go into the paragraph scanning for these words only if you don't find it in the first sentence and the last sentence, which is probably in the second half of the second passage and the third passage as well. Okay, and step 4, apply the paraphrase test. And that's nothing but, do you know in IELTS they don't want to make it easy for you. So what they do is they don't use the exact vocabulary which you're searching for in the text. They paraphrase them. For example, decline in manufacturing jobs. Decline. Instead of decline, they might use contraction in the industrial workforce. So instead of decline, they used contraction. See? So you are comparing not the vocabulary, you are comparing the meaning. And we'll teach you how to do that. Step 5, bracket your answer. That means like literally, if you're going for the paper-based test, which is very rare these days, draw a small box or use the highlighter if you're going for the computer-based test around the sentence in the question where the answer lives. So under pressure, your eye will return to that box instantly if you need to verify. So you never lose an answer that you have already found. Okay? So, like for the others, let's try this. Okay, now, question on the screen. According to the passage, what caused the decline in manufacturing jobs in the 1980s? What are the bracket words? For me, the bracket words are decline, manufacturing, jobs, 1980s. That's a number which is very important. You can easily figure out where the number is. So I'm not reading the passage, I'm scanning, okay? I'm scanning literally. So I would use my cursor to scan during the exam. I would use my cursor to scan properly these vocabulary in the first sentence and the last sentence. So here I've just given you a sample of a passage of the first sentence. Have a look. When I'm moving my cursor, when I found the word I found it, yeah, there you go. The sentence contains the word contraction, as I mentioned before. Okay, that's close to my bracket word, decline. Now I read only this sentence. The latter decades of 20th century witnessed a significant contraction in the industrial workforce, particularly within heavy manufacturing sectors. Now highlight contraction in the industrial workforce. Highlight that part, contraction in the industrial workforce. Okay, and then what do? You are looking at you have the similar vocabulary, decline in manufacturing jobs. Okay, the same meaning but different words. The passage says contraction, and at the same time you find decline. The passage says industrial workforce, the question says manufacturing jobs. This is the IELTS paraphrase trap. And if you don't know to look for it, you would have scanned the word, but you would just move past the sentence. You missed decline. Your eyes went through it, but you couldn't capture it because it was paraphrased. Now that's what we train during the practice of this technique. Okay? Now, you try it. Look at this question. The question at the bottom of the screen. What do researchers believe is the most significant factor affecting student academic performance? Can you tell me what are the bracket words in that? Go ahead. You have 30 seconds, guys. Just type the bracket words in the chat. 30 seconds. Any important word vocabulary that you identified? No? Okay, no problem, that's fine. I'll give you some words from that. Most of you, when we think of important words, you feel like everything is important, like significant, factor, student, academic, performance. You're true. These are all important, like researchers, all these are important. But we should know how to trim it properly. For example, if I was a person, I would choose vocabulary like significant, yes. I would go with researchers. I would go with student academic performance. That's it. I would never go beyond 3 important phrases or 3 important words. That would be a waste of time. Okay? That's how you go with this technique called bracket scan method. Now the last part, the listening. I think it's not very difficult for most of the people, but there is a common trap, common distractor type that they use in IELTS listening. Let's get into that. There you go. You have it right in front of you now. The predict and pivot method. Predict. It happens in 30 seconds of the silence before each section of the listening test begins. In that silence, like in the audio, when you get time to listen to it, most students sit and wait. That is 30 seconds of preparation being wasted. Instead, I want you to look at each blank in the question and write a tiny answer type about it. Not the correct answer, but a type about it. For example, in the blank space, when you go for the real exam, in the blank space, you should be expecting, okay, what can it be? Can it be a name? Can it be a number? Can it be a date? Can it be a price, a place, a verb, a color? See, there are lots of types. Just predict the type. That's the first thing that you should do. Okay? And the second thing that you should do is pivot. Now, what is pivot? Now, this is the part that most students never learn from general study. Okay? Generally, when they study IELTS, they don't learn this. IELTS listening is engineered to include what are called distractors. Moments where a speaker says something that sounds like the answer, then changes it. The trap is that most students write the first answer, they hear and stop listening and move on to the next question. But the conversation is not yet over. That's the problem. But the real answer comes after the pivot word. So pivot words are the speaker's signal that they are correcting themselves. Look at the list on your screen. Actually, okay? Sorry, I mean. No, wait, it's, let me correct that. Rather, it's, I mean to say, guys, all these are pivot words or pivot phrases. Every time you hear one of these phrases in the listening test, cross out what you just wrote or delete what you just wrote and listen for the next thing the speaker says. That is your real answer. Every time, I promise you. Did you get that? Okay. I'm going to show you something. I'll read it out to you. And I just want you to, I'm not going to play the listening audio. That might not be like clear for you. So I'm going to read it out to you. Okay? Now, listen. Okay. So the appointment is on the, let me check, the 14th. No, wait, sorry. It's actually the 15th of March. And the fee will be £45. Actually, no. That includes a discount, so the full price is £60. Okay? There are a lot of pivot words here, guys. So, what happened here? What do you think? What's the exact date? What's the exact date? Now it's going to be a bit easy for you because you're seeing the script on the screen, but for the listening, it's gone, right? So what do you think? What is the exact date in this? Can you type in the chat, guys? I want the exact date. I want the exact price as well. Zokerjon, yes, you're right, 15. The date is the 15th of March and not the 14th. The price is correct, exactly. Again, you got the job. The price is £60, not 45. Good job. Yes. The speaker said 45, then said, oh, actually, no. That's the pivot word. We cross out 45 and write 60. The student who writes 14 and 45 chose the distractors. That's it. So this is the method, guys. Predict and pivot. That's an easy way. Okay, so I'm just revealing the answer for you here. There you go. What you said is correct, Zoker. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, but yeah, that was a good one. 15 and £60. Good job. Okay. Now, I want you to do something here. Oh yeah, there you go. We are going to recap what we had a look like all together because, of course, a lot of things. So what happened in the very first thing, guys? We started with the P lock for writing task 2. Every body paragraph, every time. A structure that signals band 7 thinking to examiner in the world, in the real world. So, echo and elevate for speaking part 2. It takes you from blank and panicking to fluency and precision automatically. Bracket scan for reading, using the appropriate phrases, appropriate words, 2 or 3 to the maximum. And in listening, you go with the predict and pivot, which is eliminating distractor traps, catches corrections, turns the test own design against itself. So these are not generic tips. These are specific techniques our OWLi students use. And they work because they are built around exactly what the examiners are looking for and exactly what IELTS test takers try to hide, or test setters try to hide. Now, how do you turn 4 techniques into a band score improvement in 30 days? In 30 days, how can you use some of these and more techniques in 30 days? What can you do for this? If you are preparing your IELTS with an idea, okay, in 30 days, I'm going to do the test. I have a study plan for you guys. I'll show you that next. There you go. There you go. What do you do? What do you do? It's a 3-slot daily system, what you see on the screen. Okay, 50 minutes a day. Not 15, 50 minutes a day, to the least. So you split it into 3 focused slots. Morning, 15 minutes. You open the BBC News, you read one article, and I would suggest when you read an article, don't go for newspapers, don't go for like books. Read articles from the IELTS reading test. You get a lot of articles, guys, from the internet, from Cambridge books. It's boring, I know, but you're just doing this for like 5 minutes. Just try and read the article. Maybe you don't understand anything, but you identify some collocations related to IELTS. Okay? So you should identify through these activities 3 collocations, 3 natural word combinations that you didn't know. You write 1 sentence using each of these collocations, and that's it. That builds your lexical resources passively every morning before your brain is even fully awake. Lunchtime, 15 minutes again. You answer passively. Okay? You answer speaking part 1 or speaking part 2 question out loud. You record it on your mobile phone, okay? Just on your phone. You play it back and listen and identify 1 mistake from it. Just 1 mistake. You don't need a tutor for that. Your ear, over time, will tell you what's wrong. The goal is to catch 1 error per day and not make it to the next day. You should not make this 1 error the next day. That's the challenge. Evening, 20 minutes. You write 1 task. Not both. Either you go with task 1 or task 2. If it's task 2, maybe the 20 minutes can extend a bit. And what do you use? You use your P log for every task 2 body paragraphs. Okay? And then self-mark against the 4 band score, like band 7 criteria. Like you can get that in the internet, which is exactly like what we teach in the OWLi's intensive course. Now, this weekly plan is divided into 3 slots, right? If you can practice this, do 1 test, by the way. After all these things, like any time of the day, do a test for IELTS. So week 1 is actually a diagnosis week. Take a full official Cambridge practice test under like timed conditions. Mark it honestly, find your weakest skill, and that skill gets double your attention the next week. So week 2 is building week. P-lock, you go with the listening technique that we discussed, like predict and pivot. All these things goes in week 2. Week 3 is speed and strategy week. So this is where you concentrate on your time management. Okay? The cue card part, the reading part, the speaking part, the writing part, all these things should be timed. All the exercises that you do should be timed. Listening, you don't need to time it because it's just the audio. Once the audio stops, the listening is over. And week 4 is mock and refine week. That means complete 2 timed mock tests. Okay? Record all your mistakes. 2 full rest days before your actual test. And a morning speaking routine. Speak English like 30 minutes every morning. To somebody or to yourself. Okay? Now that's your plan for 30 days to get a good band score. Okay? I want to be very honest with you. Everything I've shown you today, P-log, echo and elevate, bracket, scan, predict, pen, pivot, all these are real techniques that will genuinely help you. You can use them starting from today or tomorrow and you will see a difference. I can guarantee you that. But I also want to be honest about the limits of what 40 minutes workshop can do to you. Look at the red column, the generic YouTube videos. There are millions of them. No feedback on your writing because no one reads it. Template memorization. Guys, let me tell you, I forgot that. If you memorize a template and go and put that into the exam, remember, IELTS examiners are specifically trained to identify and penalize memorized templates. So one size fits all content? No, that doesn't work that way. Now look at the green column on the right. This is what the OWLi intensive courses for IELTS looks like. A qualified experienced tutor who sits with you one-to-one and reads your task to you with fresh expert eyes every single session. Who tells you, okay, this paragraph works, this doesn't. Here's exactly why. Here's how you fix it. Who runs live speaking sessions where you get immediate pronunciation and fluency feedback. Who knows your specific weak points after day one, and builds every subsequent sessions around closing those gaps. The result, our students move from band 5.5 to 7 in 6 to 8 weeks. Not because they work harder than the other students. Maybe you work harder than them, but they work less because they are working smarter with these techniques. So you can also work smarter by using techniques for IELTS test. Because every hour they spend practicing is aimed at precisely at what their individual score needs are. If you need 6.5, you need to practice certain techniques. If you need 7, you need to practice a bit more different techniques. If you need an 8 or 8.5, you need entirely a different set of techniques. See? So check what the score that you require is, and then decide what are the techniques that you should use for it. Okay? Finally, go ahead. These are the techniques, these are the personalized stuff that we have designed for you today in the workshop. Now it's your time to ask me questions. It's your time to come up with any kind of questions that maybe like some of the questions I've already noted it down there for you. But if you have any questions, guys, feel free to ask me. Completely yours. Roro and Soker, even if you want to just type the question, it's fine, no problem. I'm happy to respond to your questions. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, Roro, I'm happy that you have turned on your mic. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, Roro, your voice was breaking. Can you ask me that question part again? Oh, okay. This is your first time that you're taking your test. So you have no clue about the structure of the IELTS test, right? Okay. Sorry. I didn't go with the structure today, like because we have like very limited time. But for answering your question, the test usually, if you're going for the computer-based test, they will start with the listening test. The first test is usually the listening test, but it can vary depending on the center. The listening test is like 40 minutes in total, but if you're going for a computer-based test, it would be 32 minutes. Why I said 32 minutes is because 30 minutes is your listening audio clip. So you go sit in front of the computer, and once the examiner says, okay, you can start your test, you just switch on the audio. You can see the questions on the screen as well. And the audio will be running for 30 minutes. You cannot pause, you cannot rewind, you cannot do anything to the audio. Okay? And then you will have 4 sections in the listening test. Okay? You'll have 4 sections in the listening test. Section 1 is something related to the usually a very natural conversation, everyday life conversation. That's what happens in section 1. Section 2 is usually a monologue. Just one person will be speaking. And section 3, again, it will be a conversation between 3 or 4 people, or it could even be like 1 or 2 people, but it is mostly related to academic conversation, like your project, your thesis preparation, stuff like that. And section 4, which is considered to be the most difficult part in listening, it's completely academic subject. Completely academic. Okay, so that you can find all sorts of difficult vocabulary in section 4. So 4 sections, 10 questions per each section. Section 1, 10 questions. So you can listen, type the answer. You will have the questions, you can read the questions. They will give you blank spaces to read the questions inside the session itself. So don't worry. Okay, you will have time for that. Usually after you finish one section, they'll give you like 30 seconds to like half a minute to go through your answers. Once the whole listening test is over, there are 40 questions in total, and the whole listening test is over, they'll give you 2 minutes time to have a quick look whether you have completed everything, and that completes your listening test. Is listening test clear for you, Roro? No. There are no grammar questions and stuff like for listening. It's just rough questions like it's a situation. Imagine that you're going for section one. I'm giving an example for section one. Okay. Imagine that you're going as a tourist to Liverpool in the UK, and somebody like stole your bag. Somebody stole your bag. You lost your bag. So you're calling at the police station. You're calling the cops and you're telling them this event. So the police officer is going to ask you some questions. The conversation between you and the police officer can be section one. So there'll be some writings with blank spaces, like fill in the blanks. So you just need to listen to the conversation. Maybe it could be the color of the bag. Maybe it could be the time, the date, the postcode where you're from in Liverpool. See? So you should be familiar with these things. For example, in Liverpool, the postcode, I'll give you an example of a postcode in Liverpool. It's L4 4LW. So there is a gap between L4 and 4LW. See? All these things need to be practiced before you go for the test. This is one part in section one. And in section two, what happens is it could be usually a map. Sometimes it could be multiple choice question. It could be a map question. You'll have the map of the city of Birmingham, and you're traveling somewhere, or map of a library, and there'll be a librarian explaining, you go straight, then you take a right turn. There'll be ABCD marked inside. So listen to the conversation and write what is A. Oh, A stands for this thing. B stands for this thing. So you have to identify listening to the audio. And if there are techniques for it as well. I couldn't explain the whole thing because of our time limitations, but still there are techniques in which you can use in all these sections. Section 3 is completely what you call like a talk between 2 or 3 people. Sometimes, mostly it's 2, but it's related to your project that you're doing. You and your partner doing the project in university. You're discussing the topics. Mostly it's multiple choice questions. 99% it's multiple choice. So question ABCD or ABC. You choose. That's it. Section 4 is completely academic. As I told you, that's more difficult. You will have lots of academic vocabulary, but the answers are simple words. The explanations are huge, but the answers are simple words. That's how the listening test works. For reading, you have 3 passages. Okay, 3 passages. Passage 1, usually for academic IELTS, for passage 1, it's 13 questions. You read the passage, you go with the answers. Fill the answers. Fill in the blanks, multiple choice, true, false, not given. All these questions could be there. For passage 2, again, 13 questions, similar types of questions, matching headings, name matching questions and stuff like that. For passage 3, again, passage, number of questions, similar types of questions, but there are 14 questions in it. So in total, there are 40 questions and you have 1 hour to complete. You have completely 1 hour to complete it. 40 questions. Even if you take more time for one passage, it's fine, but totally, you have to finish all the 40 questions in 1 hour. That's the reading part. Writing, again 1 hour is your writing test. You have 2 tasks. Task 1 is a report writing. They'll give you a picture of a graph or a picture of like a hospital map. They can give you a process diagram question. So it's a report writing. You have to write 150 words in 20 minutes. For task 2, it's an essay writing. That's what we discussed today, like the body paragraph. In essay writing, they'll give you a topic. There are 5 types of essay questions, but for the exam, only 1 type is going to come. You have to study 5 types. Any one can be asked. And you have to write the essay in 250 words in roughly... Sorry guys, I lost the connection in between. Sorry about that guys, I lost the connection in between. Can you hear me? Am I audible now? Okay, fine. So what do you do I was talking about the writing part, right? Yeah, for the writing part, what you do is just go ahead and complete. I don't know why the Google Meet is switching. I'm not so sure, guys. Sorry about it. So once you go with the writing part, what you do is just go ahead and complete all these 2 tasks. For the second part, essay question, 250 words, 40 minutes. That's how you complete. So altogether 1 hour for writing. Okay? And the last one, speaking, is just 10 to 15 minutes. Less than 12 to 14 minutes, I would say. 3 parts in it. First, your self-introduction. Second, the cue card, which we discussed today. And the third is a follow-up question, like a conversation, based on the second question, on the second part question. So all these 3 sections carry like 5 minutes maximum. So 15 minutes maximum for your speaking part. That's it. This is how the structure of the IELTS works. I know I said it very quickly because we don't have enough time now, but I was trying to communicate the structure in a very brief manner for you. Was that clear, Roro? Okay. Zokar, do you have any, Zokar John, like, do you have any questions that you would like to ask me? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask me the question. That's not a problem at all. Okay, guys, I believe Zokar doesn't have any questions. Thank you so much, Roro and Zokar and the others who joined today for the session. I'm literally so happy that you guys joined. Feel free to contact us if you need the lessons. I'm really happy that you joined. So let's wind up for today. See you in the next workshop. You will be informed for sure. Thank you.